Hi everyone, Wayne Williams here from Profunda Analytics. Today's subject is task-specific dashboards. Now what exactly is a task-specific dashboard? Well, let's start with what it isn't. It's not a reporting dashboard where you can view info but have to switch to a business app to take actions. It's not embedded BI where analytics are used to augment transactional systems. It's the use of a 100% BI system to manage a specific task. What kind of task? Typically a cyclical one of challenging scale or complexity. Where all monitoring, analysis, and actions take place within BI interfaces. Today, I'm going to show you an example of this involving the launch of a new drug in the retinal market called X drug. This scenario is going to include one sales manager, 50 plus new sales reps. Those reps are selling to thousands of medical practices and doctors. And the main challenge is that relationships inside the medical practices can be complex due to leader-follower influences. It is therefore important to manage how sales reps navigate these relationships. We start by creating a self-adjusting histogram map of the US. As data flows in, we divide the territories into 5 equal buckets and color the strongest performers dark green, the weakest performers yellow, and shade all the others in between. Note that we can do this based on growth rate, injection count, or market share. Today we're going to look at market share. The reason we've made our opening screen like this is simple. Sales managers typically like to tackle their weak spots, and this map makes it easy to pick out the weak territories because they're all bright yellow. Before we look at one of those weak territories, however, I want to show you what a strong territory looks like, which we're going to do by double-clicking North Carolina here. This is a map of an individual territory. The circles represent medical practices in the territory that specialize in treating retinal diseases. The size of each circle represents the size of the practice in terms of drug volumes, while the color represents X drug's current market share in its drug class. You can see a summary for a practice by holding your mouse over it like this. Now, a lot of people will look at this interface and think it is overly simplistic, but it conveys more information than you might think. In a territory where a sales rep has been strategically effective, you will see a pattern where all the large circles are green or dark green, and only the small circles are yellow. So a sales manager is able to assess the health of this territory with a single glance. There's an even better example of this in the next screen, where we drill down on an individual practice. Here, each circle represents an individual doctor within the practice. The size and color of the circles mean the same as before, but there are also lines connecting the sales rep to each doctor. The length of each line represents the quantity of communication between the rep and the doctor, while the color represents the quality of that communication, where visits are valued more than, say, emails. Again, the resulting visual pattern tells us a lot. In a healthy practice, all the doctors with large drug volumes should be pushed to the outer perimeter because they should be receiving the most communication. Those communication lines should be green and the circles should all be green. By comparison, the low volume docs should be closer to the center because they should receive less communication, and their circles should be yellow because they'll be the ones with lower relative market share. Again, this is a healthy practice. Before I talk about the importance of screen designs like this, let's go look at a territory and practice that aren't healthy. We'll do that by drilling down into Virginia. Right away, we can see that the pattern for Virginia is quite different. Many of the large practices are either yellow or light green, while a few of the smaller practices are dark green. And when we drill down on this yellow practice, we see a dramatically different pattern than what we saw with a healthy practice. We can see right away that all the large circles have not been pushed to the outer perimeter, nor are the small circles close to the center. That's indicative of the fact that a large volume doctor like Brian Keller has received barely any communication, while a couple of small volume doctors have received a great deal. We see that the two largest circles are yellow, while a lot of the smaller circles are green. We can tell at a single glance that this is a messed up practice from a marketing standpoint. Now, before we move on to the action phase of this demo, I want to talk about the importance of using screen designs like this, and this, and this. The sales manager has to look at hundreds of these screens every week. One of her major concerns is monitoring sales rep behavior, especially how they navigate the inner structures of practices. If we forced her to look through tabular displays or multiple screens to piece together those assessments, we'd exhaust her. Instead, what we've done is condensed her process to a series of quick glances and a consistent theme of clicking on yellow. In other words, we've done with these BI interfaces exactly what you would do with other task-specific interfaces like order entry, shipping, etc. We've fully optimized them. Now let's look at what the sales manager has to do to help change this unhealthy situation. First, let's deal with Dr. Keller, which we do by double-clicking him. This gives us a profile of Dr. Keller. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this interface because I don't want this video to become a movie. Instead, I draw your attention to the lower right charts, which show, first, that Dr. Keller has received only 2 emails from our sales rep, which is poor communication. Second, we can see that Dr. Keller's adoption rate of X-Drug is indeed quite low. One of the techniques requested by this sales manager is to be able to find doctors who are similar to poor performing doctors, but who are performing much better. We do this by clicking this Find Similar Physicians button here. Right away, we can see doctors who are similar in terms of their age, the top condition they treat, and their overall patient and drug volumes, but who have much higher market shares than Dr. Keller. One example is Jeremiah Martin here. To compare Dr. Keller to Dr. Martin, we simply double-click Dr. Martin like this. Now we're looking at 2 docs side by side, each served by a different sales rep. We can see that both docs come from practices of above average size. They both treat close to 200 patients a week, and the top condition they treat in both cases is AMD. They also use similar treatment types and overall treatment counts. The big difference is down here, where we see how much more strongly Dr. Martin has adopted X-Drug and how much more communication he's received from his sales rep in terms of emails, phone calls, and visits. In this case, all the sales manager wants to do is give Dr. Keller's rep a kick in the butt to start communicating. One of the ways she likes to do this is to use a bit of peer pressure. Since Dr. Martin's rep is finding so much to say to his doctor, she can put these 2 sales reps in touch with each other simply by right-clicking here and using this share feature, whether she could share as a link, an image, or a PDF. Now, this is only a simple scenario. If you want to see a much more complex analysis and remedy, see part 2 of this video. For now, however, we have enough to summarize the ingredients that go into a task-specific dashboard. These are a set of interfaces designed to support a specific set of tasks. The interfaces are customized to user preferences. They are highly optimized, and they allow users to complete all required actions from within the interfaces themselves.